Hello, I'm Vicki Butler-Henderson and welcome to the Historics Auctioneers podcast. In this particular episode, we are looking at cars that are both overrated and underrated in our opinion. Will you agree with us?
Buying or selling a classic car? Head to historics.co.uk or click below for a free valuation.
Hello and welcome to the latest Historics podcast. I am joined by auction expert Mathew Priddy.
Hello.
Car fan and YouTuber Tom Exton.
Ahoy, hoy.
Oh, hello. And Matthew, some news.
Yes, before we get started, please remember, if you do want to get a free valuation, click on the link below. But importantly, we've also got an announcement of our new finance partners, Charles and Dean, and they will get you pre-approved for finance should you wish. So please do click on the website, find out more details about them, and hopefully they will help you buy your next classic car.
Which could be at one of our auctions.
Hope so.
So in this podcast, we will be discussing cars that we think have had too much attention and also those which have had too little. And we will be discussing Aston Martin's latest unveiling. It is the new V12 Vanquish, and we will be discussing what we think about that. We'll also be having a car-related quiz and a chat about anything else that crops up. But first of all, a bit of a catch-up. We are recording this just ahead of our autumn sale at Ascot Racecourse. What have you all been up to?
I've been flat out busy getting ready for this, to be honest. The summer has passed me by, sadly. I went to Silverstone Classic for about 20 minutes. Got to Hampton Court Palace for the concourse for about 30 minutes. Just running around, to be honest with you. Sadly, not had as much fun in the summer as perhaps you two did. Tom, how have you been? Anything cool you've been up to?
I really struggle with this question. I always forget. Most recently, I've been in Geneva for a load of watch nerding.
Oh,
Nice.
Watches. Very, very nerdy behaviour. Geneva Watch Days. Have you ever
How nerdy do you get?
Really nerdy. I get those little, the little loop, the little
Little eye things.
microfying glass. That's
Magnifying.
yeah.
Or are they called micro?
No, I've completely made all of that up. But it's the little eyeball things. Anyway, yeah, very nerdy. It's too nerdy for this.
And is it like an international car show, but for watches?
It is, except all the brands. There's a tent, which was very sweaty this year. Geneva and 30 degrees Celsius is not a thing. So if you're ever thinking of going, you see it's 30 degrees, avoid the place. Aircon's not really a thing over there. They're all in a tent, and then a lot of the brands they hire out hotel suites, because obviously watches, you don't need much space. So a hotel room will do it. So you just go around all these hotel suites with your little thing.
Now that does sound quite dubious.
It actually, does sound quite unsavoury now.
Hotel room to get with a little
with an
muffle
eyeglass.
on. Yeah.
But are they all beautifully decorated? I'm thinking, Gucci couture type things, but for watches.
To an extent, yeah. I mean, they're hotel rooms any other day of the week, but for this event, the brands just hired them out, and they all. There's a little bit of willy waving in terms of who's got the biggest suite. Willy waving, am I allowed to say that?
Who had the biggest willy?
It's okay. That's all right. Yeah, we're not going to get bleeped. So yeah, anyway, if you're into watches, it's great. If you're not, it's hell.
So luckily you get on with what
Yeah,
you
I
like
loved
to
it.
watch.
Exactly.
Didn't do Hampton Court. I think that was on the same weekend. Haven't done Goodwood Revival. I've been a bit of a rubbish car fan, actually, over the past few weeks. What about you, Vicky?
Well, I went to the Brussels Motor Show at the Farnborough International
Oh, you love that
Exhibition.
one.
So that was quite fun. And what was very interesting this year, they had a women's panel. So it was lovely. There was a bunch of us gals up on stage, a mechanic, there was me, there was, an entrepreneur, a businesswoman, but all from the world of cars, just having a chat, just to let people know that if you're thinking about a career in cars, there is so much opportunity, so do not be afraid. Yeah. And even if you're thinking about a career change later on in life, just do it. If you've got a passion for cars in any way,
absolutely,
then you can, even if it's finance, but you've got a passion for cars and you're good at finance, then come on over. Yeah. So that was good.
Completely agree.
Yeah. And of course, Fifth Gear is back on telly.
There's a little drop.
Ka-ching!
Yeah, here we go. Plugs.
You're welcome. Every Thursday night through September and October, pretty much on Quest and Discovery Plus, which is lovely. So me, who have I got? Me, Jason Plato and Rory Reid, the three of us, and a few other lovely extras. And finally, I went on the Norfolk Broads for the first time, and I drove a boat at 4 miles an hour, and sometimes I thought that was too fast.
Age.
What's the Norfolk
I'm afraid
Broads?
it's catching up with you, Vic.
The Norfolk Broads are a load of waterways.
It's a big network of waterways.
Big network of waterways in Norfolk where it's barely tidal, so that you can just have a nice big barge and just motor along. But these barges are like 30 feet long.
You
They
just poodle.
sleep 6 people, they sleep
Yeah.
8 people, and you just pootle along and park up by a pub and go and have some lunch. Or,
That sounds nice. Your boat?
no, rental or
Oh,
rental.
you can rent one.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
very trusting.
yeah. And
You
then-
you need a license or anything. You just rock up.
Literally rock up
yeah, it's
and you
really
get
says.
put in charge of a 30-foot, 5-foot wide, 30-foot long beast.
And
What's the damage deposit?
And 4 miles, it does get a bit spooky at that point because you think everything's moving. I've got to move it back.
Exactly. And you've got, steering is, well, you send the steering out on a Monday and the thing turns on a
Yeah.
Thursday.
Oh
That's
my
like some
God.
cars I've driven.
Yeah, that's true. Talking of which, cars, let us move
Yeah,
on
cars.
swiftly then
Sorry.
to our first topic, a deep dive into the world of underrated and overrated cars. Why on earth are some so popular, and why on earth don't people love them more? Mr. Priddy, what are
Let's
your
get converted. I mean,
options?
to be honest, I've got a few cars that I think are undervalued, but it's the ones that I think are overvalued that are probably more controversial.
And how do you specify overvalued and overrated?
I mean, just
Are
looking.
they-
I mean, it's the value more than and people just get carried away, I think, and this is right to the top end of the table. I mean, there are some cars I just really don't like, just don't understand, and that doesn't mean I can't sell them, because actually it means I can sell them quite well sometimes, because I look for all the faults in them, and you can pick a good one. XJS is a prime example. I really don't get why people like XJSs. I just don't get it.
I love the shape of them, and I think there is a particular person who finds that quite evocative and emotional, and they have a connection with when they were younger.
yes, definitely that.
Yeah.
But I think they're terrible. I think maybe the later 90s cars, fair enough, they get better. They do actually get better, whereas often it's not always the case. Some cars just get worse as they get older. E-Type's a good example of that. But no, I don't get that at all. I think when people were spending a fair bit of money on low mileage cars as well, that seems like the worst recipe, because they're incredibly complex engines. They're big V12s. And with 25,000 miles on the clock, oh, no, thank you. Don't get that. Don't understand that one. But the big one, and the one that I think is most controversial, is I just don't get the Ferrari F50.
Oh, controversial! It's a Ferrari, of course.
I mean,
it's going to
everyone
be.
goes, there's only
overrated.
We're gonna
three
fall
and-
out here.
there's only 350. Yeah, the reason why there's only 350 or something created is because no one really wanted them. They were after the Lord Mayor's show. The F40 was the poster car. I know more were made. The F40 is the one that we all had on our walls. The F50, when it came, everyone went, don't really like that. And now all the collectors go mad for it. $5 million for these cars now. You can buy 2 F40s for that.
Have you driven one?
I don't think I've actually driven one. No, I've sat in one.
I've never even sat in one. Have you driven one?
No, God,
Right.
no.
Well, we're all on. We can all just say whatever we want there at this point.
Yeah.
You just make stuff up.
I think they're. I get it. I think this is like, I always tell you, I don't like the obsession with mileage on cars. And I just think it's one of those things where people have got involved in the money side of thinking about a car because of its rarity and not actually thought about the car. I don't think it's as pretty's not the word really for a car like that. I don't think it's as iconic in its looks. I don't think it's worthy of that amount of money people are spending on it. I just think that the F40 is the car we all wanted. And the fact that there are 1,800 or something of them, great, means you can get a chance to see them rather than just on auction blocks. So, yeah, that one, I mean, lots of people will just completely disagree with me on
I
that.
completely disagree.
You like them, don't you?
I love an F50.
Would you have an F40 or an F50?
I've driven an F40, and I've got to say, it just felt like a kit car.
Never
and I
meet
just
your
thought-
heroes.
I know that was a prime example. I drove around the Cotswolds, and I thought, I'm incredibly lucky to be doing this, but I'm not sure I'm enjoying myself as much as I thought I would.
The F40 was much more like a, dare I say, kit car, because it was much
Yeah.
more like a racing car.
Yeah.
I've driven one on the track and it was fantastic.
Really?
Yeah. it
Maybe that's where I was going wrong then.
Yeah.
It's public road. Also, I was very scared.
The F50 feels like
Understood.
it was built for, posh people to show off, and whereas the F40 felt like it just feels much more like it was
for
meant for
business.
it's a business car. But,
Yeah.
I don't know, I never liked them. So, yeah, not for me.
Where do you stand on it? F40 or F50?
F40.
If you could never sell it,
F40.
really?
No, the conversation is 2 F40s or F50. Let's
Exactly,
have a
two.
fair comparison.
Yeah,
There's two.
Yeah,
Oh, I guess it is.
You can
now,
have
isn't
one,
it?
and you can have 2 different colours. Why would you just don't get it? Sorry, guys, don't get it.
Yeah, money no object. F50. But I
It
do
probably
think-
puts pay to the
Okay.
chance of me ever consigning an F50 at auction. So.
Yep.
And the other one?
So the last one, again, this is down to the fact that I think people get carried away a little bit. So the 300SL, the Gullwing,
Yeah.
with the doors, the coupe, completely understand that. In fact, I actually think it's relatively, I say value, not in my world, but value. The Roadster, why? Without the doors, why?
Yeah.
Why would you pay £900,000 for something that isn't as pretty as a little 190?
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
If you want the 300SL, Gullwing, get the
Yep.
doors. That's the icon. That's the car.
Yep.
The moment they took the roof off of it, I'm not so sure. I appreciate it. I get it, and they all have a value, and they're well sought after. We've sold a couple, and I'd hope to see them sell them again in the future. But to me, either that has to drop in value, or the coupe, perhaps the Gullwing, should go up in value.
Yeah.
And those that to me, I wouldn't buy one. I don't get the idea of it. It's almost like you're not quite getting, and the price difference isn't as astronomical there. We're talking 1.3 maybe. Well, you got to find one of the coupes, to be fair, though.
Really?
But
Is that
you
what
can
they
buy
are?
them, but they're not a great deal of difference between those and the Roadsters. So yeah, bin the Roadster. Just go for the Gullwing.
Get that USP of the old doors.
Yeah, it's all doors. It's from the modern SLSs and things. It's all
Yeah.
about the doors, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the unique point of it. That's what everyone really fancies, and those three cars. It's controversial enough, but I think overrated, or certainly oversold.
Yeah.
Which is up to you really as a buyer, because it's only my opinion.
And what's your opinion on overrated and underrated cars, Tom?
I was going to have a go at the F40, but I've already done a bit of that.
Yeah, we've done that one.
Obviously iconic, if I was at the stage where I had sort of glass boxes with cars in sort of all around my house and whatnot,
Oh, that'd be
I'd have an
divine.
F40
Yeah.
because they are art, and I do totally get it. But as a driving instrument, I don't really get it. And they made loads, as you said.
1,800 or so, I think. I mean,
Loads.
You never know.
Masses.
You're never quite
Loads.
sure with Ferrari, because even when they say only 350, and yet some others keep falling out of garages somewhere.
But that's true of many manufacturers, to be
Yes.
fair.
I do also think, Testarossas, I know people love the way they look, and I used to have one, so I can be as rude as I like.
But they're cheap.
What do you call cheap, Matthew?
Again, let's level this up.
Yeah.
Not cheap in my world. Cheap in. I think we were buying them at sort of 80 to 110 for Testarossa. We mentioned this on the way. If you drove through any town in the UK in a Testarossa, to 99% of people, you may have been an A40. They won't know. It's that iconic slap Ferrari style look for pittance by comparison. The same comparison to the 190 and the 300.
Yep.
It's that. To most people, it's that era. And to me, it's cheap. That's relatively cheap for those cars.
Yeah.
Again, because they're made in much bigger numbers, but.
Yeah, values wise, they're not overrated. They are seeing pretty aggressive trajectory now for the right cars. But I think in terms of public perception and how everyone sees them, I've never had a more positive response out of any car I've ever had.
Wow.
Driving around, everyone loves it. You'll have 5-year-olds on the street with their jaw on the floor, and you have 70, 80-year-olds. Everyone loves that car. And I've always said, now I've had one and it's gone, I've always said the best Testarossa is someone else's. Because being in the car, it's like just lying down, stirring soup, and there's not really much going on. You're just sort of gliding around. There isn't really any, as a driving experience. Again, glass box dotted around the place as art. There is no more iconic Ferrari as far as I'm
There's
concerned.
probably
I think
something
they're
to be
amazing.
said of that era of all sports car, because at that point they are, dare I say it, compared to a modern sports car, which is actually really drivable, they are difficult. They are.
Yeah.
You are often laying down.
It's been more of a cruiser as well. It was never really designed for sort of thrashing.
It wasn't
around on
agile,
twisties.
no.
No. Would I have another? I probably would, to be fair. I would still have another.
Have you seen we got a white one?
Really?
That's cool.
Is that in this auction?
That's
Oh,
cool.
look
I'm
at his
gonna go-
little eyes light up.
Look at that. That's a bit cool.
Okay, right. I forget you said that. What else? Underrated. Definitely in terms of values, and I know that they get a lot of grief. XJ220. I think if you look at its contemporaries around that era, if you look at even EB110s, Enzos, everything around it, all those sort of halo cars, they're all well over £1 million.
I think that's the next to really go.
And I'm on the hunt for one now, because we were talking about this before the podcast. You said you've got a friend that's
I've got
one.
clients with them, and I keep saying someone's gonna like the touch paper.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna do it.
One
Get the
auction
best
result.
figure.
Yep.
And then everyone will jump in. Usually, what happens? It sometimes does go up and up and up, and that takes a number of years. But usually, one goes and just makes a silly number
So
because
what
everyone
kind
thinks
of
the
number
same.
are they going for at the moment, if there are any?
What can I get one
The
from your client?
XJ220.
I don't think he's not selling.
What's their-
He wants someone else to do it. I did write down what the figures are now, because not many have been selling. But a couple came to auction a few years ago, and all struggled. People just weren't tuned into them.
With a few £100,000 price?
Or more.
More than half a
I
mil?
can't remember what their prices are. We'll have a
Okay.
quick look in a second. But I do think they're.
I think 350 to 400 would
Yeah.
get you one now.
But
Obviously,
the owners of them, dare I say it, are all sitting there thinking they're going to go as well. So
Yeah.
there's not many people with them going, oh, I bought it for 50. They've all paid a fair amount of money. They've all kind of plateaued. But I just think that they are.
it's that ultimate kids of my era, or of our era. Sorry, I don't want to drag
No, but
anyone off.
I think of it the same as the F40. I think
Top
of it
trumps
as,
wise, that was the car. That was it.
Oh, yeah.
That's a
The
really
silver
good
one on
example. Top
yeah.
Trumps cars, aren't they?
Yeah.
They really were. They were all going for fastest speed.
Yeah, top speed.
They were all. It was all the stupid era where everyone was
Yeah.
just going, "I'm just going to get top speed." Something doesn't exist anymore because you can just stick 30 batteries in something and go a million miles an hour. It was who can get to 200, who can get to, who can beat the cells, and then Top Trumps games with manufacturers. It was fantastic.
I have driven one, and it is an unbelievably odd experience because you kind
Perfect.
of like crawl your way in, and then you're quite enclosed in it.
Really?
Yeah.
It's the polar opposite to a McLaren F1, isn't it? Where you've got this little
Exactly.
nimble, perfect, but well built. This is a brute. I remember when I was a kid. So I grew up in Reading, and John Majeski of Auto Trader fame, he owned one, and his driver, I think every weekend, to keep the fluids moving, would take it out to drive, or every weekend, let's say every other weekend. But you'd often see it doing the one leg up the M4 from the field junction where AFM Porsche is.
Yeah.
And he'd go up to the main central Reading junction, turn around, and just come back straight back down again. And he lived down Port
Stretching
Pangbourne.
its legs.
What a
Stretching
job.
its legs. Imagine that coming past you on the motorway as a
They're
13,
huge.
14-year-old
I know.
boy.
Yeah.
Wow.
For a car back then, though,
Yeah.
even for a car now, it's the same length as like a
Yeah.
long wheelbase Range Rover. They're enormous, and actually, that's one of the things that's sort of held me back. I don't have anywhere to put the thing.
Well, he said
It's
earlier,
2
so
meters
could you
wide,
fit it in
5
your
meters
garage?
long.
Nope.
No, my garage at the moment, I can't stick it
You have
anywhere.
to get
So
rid
I'm
of the
just
other
like-
car
you
and
need
then
to-
park it slightly at an angle.
Or get a barge and pop it on.
Norfolk
because-
Broads. Yeah,
Exactly.
thought you might say
You could
that.
probably get 5 across that.
What's your fixed address? Well,
I'm moving.
oh, come on. What about you've got out of this one? Come on, give us
Okay,
a
I'm gonna
controversy.
Upset
okay.
people. Come on.
Jaguar E-Type.
Whoa.
You're having a go at.
What? That's
Yes, I say
okay.
that's overrated. I know.
You know, I can see.
Oh,
I can see a point. Bear in mind,
Thank you.
I get a little bit, dare I say it, pillared with them. I see so many.
Yeah.
That when I first started in this industry over a decade ago, they were in, wow, there's an E-Type. Now there's another E-Type. Because there's so many, and because it was so popular for that era when everyone restored them, they bought them in for the
yes.
States.
Yeah.
I still think that's a bit controversial. The Series 1,
Oh.
I think, is not overrated. I think the Series 1 is still
there's
gorgeous.
a Series 1, Series 2, Series 3. So do you know how many were made from 1961 to 1974?
Crikey. I mean, the amount I see, there must have been more than Ford Fiestas.
Just over 72,000.
72,000.
Yeah, which is a huge amount.
And then we were talking
Blimey.
about
know.
a lot of F40s being
Yeah.
I
made
know.
at 1800.
Egg in my face.
Well, Enzo Ferrari is rumoured to have said that it is the most beautiful
Oh,
car
no, it's not
ever
rumoured.
made.
We've put that in every single catalogue prelim.
I even quoted that the other day.
I've written that.
It is still rumoured.
We almost do it on purpose now, just because there's 6 E-Types in this auction. Yeah, but we've got to put that line into story.
Yeah.
I think Jaguar uses it as well, so don't worry. And Jaguar then says about it is that it epitomised the glamour and excitement of the swinging 60s, which I totally get. But for me, it is one of the most disappointing cars I've ever driven. And I just think that there were in its
full in here.
I know, but in its
no.
latter stages, the Porsche 911, the RS 2.7 that was made in 1972, that by far and away is a much more accomplished sports car than
The E-Type
Jag.
should have been. Sorry, I'm going in two-footed now.
Come on.
The E-Type, I think, should have been just finished after the Series 1.
Yeah,
Should have just been done.
yeah. Here we are. There's our magic.
The
Boom,
moment
done.
they had to start making changes, and this is an example of it. Sorry, anyone with a 2 or 3, I apologise. It has its place. It just started taking away from that original drawing that Enzo said was it was. And to me, although the Roadster's the epitome, everyone wants the Roadster. I think that it's the coupe. And some of these resto mods do a really nice job
They
now
do.
of actually trying to rekindle the original lines
Yeah.
rather than the bits bolted to
Yeah.
it.
But you can get the redone ones
Overrated
for
strong,
about £300,000.
Yeah.
But we have got at this auction coming up, there is almost one in sort of part restoration.
Yes.
Price. Now, I would like to get my hands on that and make it the car that I want.
So what would you want in an E-Type?
I would want a absolute turnkey,
Yep.
400 horsepower,
Yep.
rear-wheel drive, gorgeous 6-speed gearbox,
Yep.
and perfect steering.
You struggle with it. Yeah. You'd need it fully
That's
engineered.
what I would want. I want it properly engineered. I want it engineered by Porsche
What's your
or BMW.
What's your budget for this?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're going to be into like, to get it that good, like
know.
£300,000-400,000, aren't
Yeah.
you? But
Oh.
and then you start. I like the idea of them when they're every E-Type you see now, and I don't blame people because I get it. It's beautifully restored,
Yep.
beautiful paintwork.
Yeah.
They're not easy to keep in that condition, by the way,
Yep.
because getting into them is, and you and me with bad backs, is literally just, it's a bit of a roll in, roll out, and lots of people sell them because it's a bugger to get in and out of. You kick in all the leather. But I quite like them a little bit off, with a bit of patina to them. In fact, I wouldn't even mind one a bit dishevelled as long as it's mechanically very sort of
Yes,
good. Because
yes.
that's, I think, a bit more fun to be, a bit like in your thing, ragging it around a little bit, giving it a bit, having a bit of fun with it.
But I think as well, like even you're just talking there about the ergonomics of actually getting into the things. Like human beings have not really changed in shape and size from when that car was designed. So why couldn't they design it in a
Because it had to
better
look pretty.
fashion? Wow,
That was the key, pretty over. It's a bit like we said about sports cars with the F40s and the X3s.
Yeah.
That was all about numbers, stats, speed.
Yeah.
Didn't matter what it looked like as long as it go faster. In the 60s, it was all about how
it
pretty
looked.
can we make it.
So that's why I'm saying that I think that it's overrated because it's the insides of it don't live up to what's on the outside.
Never driven one. Appalling.
No.
I'm sure I'd be slagging it though if I had.
No,
okay?
it's not.
We'll have to get one.
let's-
We'll have to list it 3 types in the next auction
Exactly.
lineup. When we have a
But please keep buying the E-Types because
I love them.
We still like to see them.
Yeah, I mean, I into the underrated. I think so. For instance, by comparison, I always thought Austin Healey's were underrated
Yes.
because, I mean,
Yeah.
they've always been sort of the poorer cousin, I suppose. Always like barely half the price of an E-Type. I prefer them. I think they're a little bit more open, they're a little less into the design and trying to look pretty. They're a bit more racy.
Yeah.
I prefer that.
Yeah.
I also they've been underrated, and they've never really climbed above £50,000. They've just
That's a very good point. I'd agree with you on that.
fluttered around the 35-ish, and
Yeah.
I think that's an underrated sport.
Well, then that could be a good classic car for somebody if they're
Yeah, I
interested
like
in
them.
getting
There's not
good value for
72,000
money.
of those, is there?
No, indeed. I don't know how many there are of those, so I can't
Google.
come
Why?
back with that.
Put that in the comments and tell us earlier. No, there's 90.
Someone will know.
So I'm going to pop another one here. Question: is the classic Mini overrated?
No, I don't think it's overrated at all.
I don't think it's overrated in that there isn't anything else apart from a Fiat 500. There's nothing else like it.
In a value
It's
point
great.
of view, the early Coupe races got silly. They were overrated in value. That was very, very silly. People paying £50,000 for a Mini was bonkers. One of the very few cars you could genuinely restore and sell it for more money.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think it is. I think a bit like Fiat 500s and so on. I think other than value, I don't think they're overrated. I think
They've
they're
earned
great.
its stripes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that every time you hit a speed bump, you whack your head on the ceiling. But that's more the road's fault, not the Mini's fault.
Yeah. But I just think it's such a simple design and so simple mechanically as well.
Yeah.
And yet it's given birth to all sorts of accessories.
Yeah.
It's just
in the
a world of
fact there's-
clothing, jewellery,
Yeah.
all Mini.
All that's craziness. That the fact that it's still not being made, obviously, but there still are retro styling. In fact, this new Mini is probably the first one that I think's really started to pull away. But it still has that same silhouette to a point, but it's still doing that now.
Yeah, I know.
mean,
I
that's bonkers.
went on the launch of the electric Mini
Yeah.
a couple of months ago, so that new for 2024, and exactly that. It nods back so nicely.
nodding back, don't they?
To
Yeah.
the 60s original Mini, and I was drawn to it.
But that's I think that's where, and Fiat have done the same thing with the 500 for that very reason. It's you almost think it's lazy because well, come on, can't you think of something new? But it's obviously that iconic that even the youth, even they see that and they turn to it. They like that nostalgic sort of
Cuteness
feel to it. But then
Yeah.
obviously you want the modern things. But no, I think that one,
earns its place.
other than some of the values which had got a bit crazy, I think it earns its spots.
My underrated one now, Nissan 350Z.
Oh yeah, that's
They do sound good.
Oh my gosh, honestly. So you can pick one up for around 10 grand
cars for
now.
nothing. Yeah.
But I did see one for £20,000, but it only done 7,500 miles. So I thought that
So
was
Nissan
quite
was.
good.
Do you need a car with that fewer miles if it's built by
Oh, fair play.
Nissan?
Yeah, exactly. So this two-seater from 2002 to 2009, V6,
Yeah.
6-speed gearbox, rear-wheel drive. I've just found my new Jag
There you go. You save yourself £300,000 in creating it.
There we go. And that's why I think this car is so underrated. This should be the new E-Type.
It's so undervalued though, isn't it? We've got an RX-8 here, which is a weird car. Obviously. Do you remember when they brought it out with the 3 doors?
It's got those the front doors open normally, and then they've got these quarter doors for the back seats, which then
it's
open
like a pickup
out
truck. They do it in pickup trucks, remember? In the America, they always have this front doors, and then you can open the pickup truck to get the kids in the back of those.
Yeah.
Very similar. And that wankle engine.
Oh, I wanted to say that.
Yeah.
Say it then.
Wankle.
But they are, oh my God, for nothing. They're just...
Is
not
there grief
impressive.
if you come to service it? You take that in and say, "Oh, I've got a rotary 1.3
It
or
will be
whatever
now,
it is,"
because most of them have just been thrown away. You have to find a specialist now because they've been worth so little money. They're
Are
in
there
that
parts?
They're in that scrap area where
Yeah.
people just go, won't bother. I'll just trade
Just
it in.
the engine?
No,
or the
whole
actual
car.
RX-8?
I don't think the engine is. It didn't catch
Is it
on because of
RX-7 or
emissions.
RX-8?
Is it 8?
8, yeah.
It didn't catch on because of emissions and fuel economy. So just when everyone started to go that way, they went the wrong way, and of course it wasn't much quicker. I mean, 350s is a prime example of a better option, but they're for nothing. It's that
Do you know
era.
what the money is on this RX-8 in this auction?
We were expecting, so it's a lovely one with really nice history. So we're expecting sort of 4 to 6, and that's strong for one of those.
Wow.
That's strong.
Yeah.
And you think
They're cool though. When you see them, you think like that. I haven't seen one in ages.
you can get really good examples, you hope, for like a couple of £1,000. And they're a
really.
modern car. They've got air conditioning, heated seats. They are a sports car.
Steering wheel.
4 seats with rear doors ish.
Yeah.
And they're cool.
And they shouldn't
are
really
cool.
break either.
If the French did it, we'd be thinking it's fantastic because it's bonkers. It was just because the Japanese did it. Everyone went, what? That's not sensible. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Good old Mazda.
Oh, well, I hope that has given you some food for thought there. And
Plenty to
apologies.
shout at as
Yeah,
well.
exactly. Apologies if we have offended anyone. We don't mean to.
Dunno.
So, next...
Do a bit.
Now, we were just saying earlier on about how Mini has sort of gone back to its origins in some of its design for its latest Mini. Aston Martin, our British-based company that makes stonking great big GT cars, has unveiled the new Vanquish very recently, the most powerful Aston production car yet. 835 horsepower, twin turbo, 5.2 V12. I mean, on that alone, I'm ticking.
Well, you're ticking boxes. Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
1,000 newton meters of torque, but to be fair,
Has it got
Yeah,
any electric
cars
motors and stuff?
Yes, there
It
are.
has got some crazy clever.
0 to 62, 3.2 seconds, 214 miles an hour, £300,000. So all of this stuff, you're thinking, yep, good flagship kind of stuff.
great.
However,
I'm thinking how much £300,000 is going to be in 10 years' time.
excellent. This is my question. Go.
So first generation.
Is it worth investing in a car now? Before I get on to...
Whoa.
What have you done?
Sorry, that's Aston on the phone. Yeah, hi. I'm so
Vicky's
sorry.
talking about us again.
Yes, before I go on to talk about the design, what is it worth at the moment investing in something now that's £300,000?
No.
Should I buy it now and think about selling it something this amazing?
You wouldn't buy one unless you can burn the money,
Because?
because it will depreciate like a bomb. Unless something happens that, and I can't see it in that car. All the Vanquishes, and let's say the first Vanquish, the one that was the Bond car, the 2002.
Yep.
What was that Bond movie? I did write it down. Did Die Another Day.
Oh, well done.
So the Die Another Day car, that car, so that should be the most iconic, right?
Yeah.
Even that, you're talking 50. Now,
£50,000 today?
yeah.
And how
a
much
low
would that have
mileage,
been?
nice example. I don't know what it was.
Could you get a manual one of those?
I think I don't know if you get it from stock.
Oh,
Or
they-
whether you do that, you can
The
certainly
Aston
do.
Martin
You
Works
can
will
certainly
do
do the
it, won't
works
they?
changeover.
As I was
I
looking
can't
at
remember
that.
if we can do a stock one. And so that first generation, which obviously they're just not making the money. Even the S's, and then they did an S Ultimate, which was basically a Vanquish S, which is the top spec one, but one of the run-out versions before they changed, because they were all handmade then.
Yes.
So they were much more desirable from a collector point of view. Then the Series 2 came out. Dare I say, you can barely give them away. And I think they're very pretty cars. This one, you're just thinking it's going to drop. You're going to drop £100,000 in the first couple of years, I'd have thought.
So at what point then will this car start making money again? If ever.
I would have retired.
I think it's an
Really?
if ever.
Wow.
It may. I don't know
Okay.
whether the new ones especially not unless, and this may be a revolving thing around James Bond, because obviously we see it with DB5s. Every time the James Bond movie comes out, the DB5s plump up a little bit. If they're used in the movie, which they have been recently, a good example, they used DBS in the last one. I think he pulled it out of a garage, an old DBS, and then drove it to Scotland or something. And that was, they were using the older cars more than they were the new cars.
Yep.
Which could just be because they're not launching one now. And the prices elevate with the Bond sort of upswell and then drop away again in between. If, for instance, this had this huge cameo in the next Bond movie and it was sea-changing in that film, great. Okay, provenance-wise, they could suddenly start off, they get a bit of a kick. But if they're just seen in the opening sequence, driving to a hotel, and then you don't see it again, that's just not going to do it for it.
Wow.
It's a say, it's just not going to do it. And then it just becomes another really expensive sports car, which is for people with lots and lots of money that can afford to lose the money. I think. I mean, we're going controversial again, but I just wouldn't. I wouldn't, as much as even if I really like it, I'd have to have so much money to burn.
We are recording this on a morning where we are expecting Adrian Newey to announce that he has signed up with Aston Martin. Would an Adrian Newey Aston Martin designed car
possibly
be something?
A bit of a hookup with Formula 1. I think that sort of thing always works well, doesn't it? Some sort of motorsport hookup, Newey designing that might. But again, they make them in numbers. They don't. Is there going to be a Ferrari? Have been doing this for many years, haven't they? They make a production car which they sell to lots of, and then they make a special one. Maybe Aston need to really highlight that special one to try and sell it down. I don't know, like they used to do with Cosworths.
Yeah,
you got the Valkyrie and the RB17 and whatever it is, and they're
the ones that
ridiculous, and
they're hoping will keep up there, and everything else is just the
dross.
But at £300,000,
You'd have the 12-cylinder Ferrari, wouldn't you? That's what you'd do. Because you're not gonna lose your house.
What do you think of the looks?
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, the looks of the new Vanquish from the front, it could be any other Aston Martin from the last, may I say, I don't know, 20 years.
If you picked up the second generation Vanquish, so it started in 2000. When did that start? 2012.
They are lovely. They look like the 177. I love those.
Park that car next to the new Vanquish, right? To unsuspecting people. Don't look inside because that cheats. Because you look at all the electric stuff, it cheats a little bit. I don't think there's enough in it. It's not innovative enough to really. It's pretty, but all Astons are pretty.
Oh yeah,
and that old Vanquish was naturally aspirated as well. You don't get that horrible sort of turbo burble synthesized nonsense you get on. I'm having a go now as well. You've dragged me in.
God almighty, none of us are getting any gigs or selling any Aston Martins for ages.
I followed an Aston today, just a DB9, and I was like, "You are so pretty."
Okay, let's go off on a tangent. Let's go off on a tangent because those DB9s. Okay, look, they weren't fabulously built, but they are eminently very affordable.
Yeah.
There are now a huge network of specialists that can look after them. They know the cheats. You don't have to go to Aston Martin and just have your trousers pulled down. Sorry, Aston, but you do all the time. I know. So you can go to a specialist. They can look after them at a sensible figure. You've got that fabulous V12 engine. Yeah. It still looks on the outside achingly gorgeous. You've just got to put up with a Ford key and a few other idiocies, but manual, everything's manual. Nothing's trying to be too clever at that point. In fact, disengage the stupid screen that comes up because that's pointless as well. But it's brilliant, and it's, dare I say it, I've got a one-owner car in this sale with 32,000 miles.
Yeah, I'm interested.
It's probably going to make mid-20s, maybe 30.
Wow.
And that's a one-owner car. Now, you can go and get a sensibly looked-after car with, say, 60,000 miles. You're only paying £20,000.
Yeah.
That's great value, which then makes the 350Z look expensive, actually.
And you don't see people in DB9s and think, I hate you. You know, some cars they do that, and you think, I can't stand whoever that is in there. It says some good things.
And actually, although the Porsche would be a far better car,
carefully.
I think it says it's a different message to the Porsche, isn't it? At this point, with those modern classics, the Porsche is still, you can still be like, people won't let me out. But with the DB9, I think people are starting to think of it as a bit of a
you're just not going to be you don't get toe ragged driving DB9s, do you?
Yeah.
Have you got one yet? No.
Well, this is exactly it. You see me in a DB9, they're finished.
So how do they get it?
But the massive saving grace about this new Vanquish, though, is the rear end.
Yeah.
It does.
They've changed something.
Yes.
They've
They
changed
have
something.
actually
Yes.
changed something.
The back of it's black, but I believe you can get that whole rear portion painted as well, so you can make it look like the others.
No, but
I
don't.
think.
Don't leave it black.
well-
it has to be different.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
exactly.
it looks like
Unless you get a black one, in which case then
yeah.
it looks the same again.
paint it red.
But I love the fact though that manufacturers like this are making big cars still. So absolutely
Great.
all hail to it.
Will they sell any?
No.
I
I think
don't
the
think
one
they
thing
will.
they've let them down so is when I said to you earlier, look inside it, and don't get me wrong, all the buttons, the Apple, this and that. Come on, you're up against electric, crazy computer style cars now.
Yeah.
Go brave on the interior. Interiors now are you've got to be brave because ultimately you're going to get outshone by a Toyota that's £30,000 brand new. You've got to be brave. It's just a screen now. Just do some lovely touches. Go a bit spiker with it. Do some really cool things. Don't just make it look like every other production sports car.
Yeah.
With
that plasticky leather.
I just
You
I
need
do
to
love
feel
that.
special.
Yeah,
If
I agree.
you've got a special car, you need.
we need a bit
those-
of TVR engineering in there where they just went absolutely.
Ferrari do it well.
We need
I
some
think.
Pagani in there. Sorry, darling.
Yeah,
Kicked you there.
Pagani.
Yes,
yeah.
Pagani,
Yeah,
are
some
perfect.
Pagani.
Pagani,
Yeah.
the old Spikers when they did it with that crazy, and even harking back, say to the TVRs when everything was just do something different.
Leather rivets and
We
whatnot,
don't, yeah.
sort of
I mean,
bolts
nowadays
and
you can drive a car with just a screen in front of you, so you can do whatever you like with that interior. We can do concept car interiors for real now,
Yeah,
but no one seems to be brave enough, and Aston should be brave.
exactly. Oh well, we'll keep an eye on that one. Where are we going from this?
Oh, do you want to tease us with a quiz?
Oh my
Oh,
gosh,
why'd
that's
you
exactly
remind
what's
her?
happening. I got
She
7
nearly forgot.
questions.
Good.
So, are we ready?
No,
It is general knowledge on this, so there literally is I can't give you any steer as to which direction it's going in.
Okay,
good.
What is the dictionary definition of vanquish?
Depreciation. No. Sorry, no.
Is it so to be vanquished by one, which is to be I don't know, just like murdered, killed, I don't know, eaten?
Pillaged.
Pillage is not quite right. Matthew's along more sensible lines. To defeat thoroughly.
Oh, to defeat
Yeah,
thoroughly. Okay.
the victor and the vanquished. I'll give you a point though, Matthew, for that one. This
we
year,
do like a little point scoring thing on this so they can tell how well
Do we
how
have
well
the
they do it,
technology?
can we do that, producer?
Person editing this is absolutely furious. They've had a shock already.
And that's the edit. That's the budget gone for the rest of the year. This is our last podcast. This year,
Sponsored by Aston Martin.
2024. How old is the Ferrari 612 Scaglietti?
13 years old.
Okay, thank you for your incorrect answer.
I think it's nearest the post, isn't it? Unless Tom
I don't
nails it.
know.
Oh, fair enough.
20 years old.
Oh my gosh, on the money. One all.
I thought it was going to be like an anniversary. It was going to be like a big year. So
Good point.
it's not
See?
30. It's not
Oh,
10.
There
you
we go,
played
there's
on the
brains.
played on the Quizmaster.
Not just a pretty face.
Question number 3. In which year did ABS,
No,
anti-lock
isn't this a trick
braking
question?
system,
Wasn't this a
become
hard-
mandatory on cars in the UK?
Oh,
Which year was
mandatory.
ABS?
You can't honestly
mandatory?
expect us to know the answer to that.
I think
Yep.
that's going to be mid to late 90s.
Thank you for your answer, Tom.
1995.
I'm going to have to give it to you because you said mid to late 90s.
Yes.
And you went 95. It's 2004.
Oh.
Do play along at home or dog walking or wherever you are listening.
If you knew the
to
answer
us.
to that, you need to get a life. I'm
If you
afraid.
knew the answer to that, jolly well done.
Tom's just attacking anyone else.
I'm furious today.
Okay, door handles are a bit of car design that we touch every day. Please describe the door handles of my Mustang Mach-E.
I haven't bothered to look at it.
You call me miserable.
Or maybe your neighbour's Mustang Mach-E. And I only use this car because it's got unusual door handles.
I haven't got a clue. Unusual.
I know it's not the right response, but I really don't care. I love
Okay,
your
I'm
Mustang.
just going to guess. Do you press it and then pop out?
I'll give you half a point. You just push a button and then there's a lever that is
Yeah.
already out. So, but I'll give you half of that.
I
So it's
don't
just
think
just
door handles should be a 2-stage process. I think it
Oh,
should
no,
just be
it's
just
almost like a
open
runner.
it.
But the old, I wanted to be a car designer. I really wanted to be a car designer when I was a kid, and I hated door handles. I was like, what's the point of these things? They ruin the looks. And I always thought, and then when TVR and different people, different ways of doing it, I thought, this is genius. And then Alfa Romeo did it in the rear of the rear 4 doors, and they hid it.
Yeah,
That's genius.
cool.
But that was a one pole thing.
Yeah. There, at the kids' school, right, you can do something called kiss and drop, or kiss and kick, as I like to call it.
Oh no, just kick. In my opinion.
And I just, every time I come with a different car, the poor people who were then opening the door to let the kid out, they're just like, and the Mustang foxed
I can
them.
imagine you just sitting there in the front.
You like that?
I
It's
can
redeemed
imagine
yourself.
Vicky sits in the front just laughing at them
Wait for this. The queues coming behind me.
furiously.
Oh, so I should do a vox pop on the lovely people who let the kids out, because they are going to be super experts.
I'm
going to
go around today and just
Yeah.
see how many different types of
Get in
handles
next
you have
time.
here.
Yeah,
There's going to be a vacancy after this podcast, I think. So apply within.
2 vacancies. Question number 5. Which manufacturer celebrated its centenary this year?
MG.
Well done, Tom, back in the game.
#ad.
And you know that exactly.
Some a bit of a cheat with that one.
I know they headlined the Goodwood Festival of Speed as well this year.
Tom has
so
also
that's-
had some work with him this year, which is kind of.
Want to buy a Cyberster? Have you driven the Cyberster?
I haven't yet.
Have
no,
you driven the
no,
Cyberster?
not yet.
It's got silly doors. It actually looks really good.
There you go.
What are the
sold.
door handles like?
Oh, I can't remember.
Isn't it really like? I saw someone driving the day. Isn't the windscreen really small, low? Like you almost need to be.
It's a crazy
short.
shape for an EV. It's the most potty EV, I think.
Yeah.
And not just being nice because I work with them, but I actually think they could have gone super boring, but they just made
Yeah.
something that doesn't really make a huge amount of sense. It's
Terrific.
mental.
There's the point again.
Terrific.
Don't
Terrific.
go boring.
Yeah.
There's
do
too
The
much
interior is
boring.
amazing as well. To
There
your
you go.
point earlier, the
Yeah.
interiors. Some of the graphics are a bit like 80s anime. It's chaos.
Everyone
in there,
needs to go a little bit 70s, 80s French.
But also
Just
a
go
little
bonkers.
amazing.
bit of Donkey Kong in there, a little bit of 80s
Yeah.
graphics. I'm all over that, Game Boy.
Donkey Kong.
Oh,
There
yeah.
we go. Car designers, more Donkey Kong.
And door handles that no one can use.
Yeah.
Right, and question number 6. It's the penultimate. There's only one after this. In which
God.
year was the Audi RS2 launched? It joined other debutantes that year, such as the Toyota RAV4 and the Vauxhall Tigra.
Oh, I've got no idea. I'm going to say 1995 again because
I'm going to 1994 just because.
Oh my giddy aunt! Yes, Matthew, it's you. You're so close.
you pig. You copied what I said.
I knew it was early
You're so
90s,
close.
so I remember that. I actually remember the Tigra randomly,
Yeah.
but I couldn't. I thought
Tigers are cool.
Yeah.
I thought I'd go close.
Also, if you'd have used your super brain like you used it before, you would have realised that how many years is it? 30 years. 2004, 14, 24. Yeah, 30 years.
Ah,
Jeez.
so Vicky's just gone like, what's 20 years old?
lost
What's
me.
30 years old?
Exactly.
Look,
I won't be doing
let's have a
that
look
in
at the
another
final
quiz.
one.
Oh, yeah.
What was 40 years ago?
So, question number 7. Most cars have got 3 spokes within the round rim of their steering wheel. Yeah? Across and down. But name me a car with a single spoke.
Citroen BX. Was it BX?
You jump in.
DS?
Just say all the random letters of the alphabet.
XM?
With Citroen.
AZ, AX,
Keep going. Someone can get there.
DS.
Yes!
Yes.
Did the BX?
Perfect. Is that the one with the floaty
So
suspension?
I think the BX was just the single one. I'm thinking specifically of one spoke coming
No,
out from the centre
I thought
down.
the BX had like
Could
the
we-
one
could you
solid
Google that,
bit.
darling?
I can Google it,
'cause
yeah.
I would hate to give you a point.
I just think there's more than one. And again, because
Well,
French go mad.
yeah.
I like it. They go
I
mad.
couldn't come up with anyone else's. But
Citroen, what was it? Citroen BS?
BX.
BX. Sorry.
did they, I don't think they've
Speaking
ever
of BS.
sold one.
No.
They did. No, the Toyota did do the Merde ML2.
Okay, so yeah.
Show me.
Actually,
Yeah, what did he?
I don't know. We're getting that. Sorry about the state of my phone.
We'll get it up.
I'm the
It's
quiz mistress.
one.
No.
That's
now,
one.
can you kindly show me the Citroen
getting
DS?
The DS. I was just
Show me
thinner.
the Citroen DS because
Right, okay.
this is what I was specific.
I know the
That's
one you
more
mean
like
where
a
it's gonna-
chunk.
This is where
Yeah.
you know full well that we haven't planned these because we're just like googling on a phone and trying to show it to the camera.
Okay, the DS is yeah.
And that this is what I was.
That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Slightly weird looking, isn't it?
Oh,
That?
that's from 1955.
That's the steering
to
wheel,
75.
apparently.
There you go. Well,
I've been very careful what I googled there, and
I-
that's what's come up.
Thank you.
yeah. I think that should be a
180
draw
quid.
on that one.
Yeah.
That's good art for the wall.
So-
180.
That
We're
is
going to have to
nice
drill a big
art.
hole in the wall to put it through. We have through deep walls.
There were other images, but I thought that was the most
No, that's
odd-looking
perfect.
one.
Right.
Good.
Oh, congratulations. I actually now don't know who's won.
It was definitely me.
Was it? Okay.
Probably, yeah.
Was it definitely you, Tom?
I didn't win. I think I got one right.
Okay. Definitely you.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
happy with that.
Definitely maybe. You're welcome. Right, some consignments
Yes.
and some Twittery
Yes.
stuff.
So obviously we're here at Ascot, but our next auction, if you're watching this, will be at the fabulous Mercedes-Benz World at Brooklands. So if you're interested in getting your car valued or want any details about that auction, please do get in contact. You can write us a message, email, you can send pigeon mail, anything you want to do. We will respond. Valuations, of course, are completely free, so please do get in touch, and we will hopefully see all of you there.
That's
on
in November.
Late November, yes.
Yeah. And how else can people keep in touch with us, Tom?
Social media stuff seems to be a new platform every week. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, because we put all the cars ahead of the next auction on there, so you get a little sneak peek of those around each auction. And obviously it's all documented, sale prices, everything like that, all that important detail. It's that camera, isn't it? Make sure you're following us on Instagram anyway. YouTube as well, we do a full auction preview video where the three of us will go around our favourite cars and go into nitpicky detail about each car and why each one is special on the YouTube channel, so subscribe to that. Podcast, obviously, you're streaming it now, so make sure you're following or subscribing to that. And I think that's it. TikTok, we're on TikTok now, aren't we?
We've done a few bits. We're doing some dances later, yeah. Vicky's volunteered.
I'm so having. Right, that is it. Thank you so
Good.
much for watching, listening. Really appreciate it, and hopefully see you at an auction soon.
Sorry, Aston Martin.
Sorry, everyone.